Good morning, traders. It's 8:03 a.m. Chicago time on Tuesday, the 13th of February, 2024. It is US CPI day today. This is episode number 2622. Derivatives involve substantial risk of loss and are not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results. This morning, really, the big the big number that the market was anticipating for today was the inflation rate out of the U.S. The year on year came in at 3.1%, was expected at 2.9. So a hot CPI number out of the U.S. here. Market clearly not expecting it unless you're one of the people who sold yesterday afternoon and all night. um, Month-on-month inflation came in at 0.3 versus 0.2%. Core inflation came in at 3.9 versus 3.7. It's a big uptick there as well. And core inflation month-on-month came in at 0.4 versus 0.3. In addition to that, we got the unemployment rate out of Great Britain came in hotter at 3.8% versus 4, and the zoo economic sentiment out of Germany came in at 19.9, pretty hot, versus 17.5. So with the CPI out and the market responding, we're in a strong risk-off sentiment right now, and it's oh, 1 second. Yeah, strong risk-off sentiment, and it's really looking for a bottom here. So that's where that stands. Who the biggest loser this morning is the Russell 2000 Mini. The Russell is down 73 points. 73. That's a lot. That's almost 3.6% on the Russell from yesterday's settlement. Huge beating there, huge, and for such a broad index. But uh, the most sensitive stocks to interest rates are small caps, which is what the Russell 2000 is, but also techs. So the next index that's had the biggest loss is the Nasdaq, down 1.85%, 331 points off. The S&P is down 71 points, or 1.4% off. The Eurostoxx 50 down 66 points, or 1.39% off. Crude is upticking. Gold sold off. Silver sold off. Gold trading at 2015. And silver is trading at $22.44. Silver down 1.4%. Bitcoin's off 1.37%. Looking at the treasuries, the 10-year is off 25 and a half ticks, and the 10-year, the bonds are off one handle and 13 ticks, or 1.17% on the futures. So overall, just a lot of bleeding across the board. The market condition this morning for the S&P is it's turned into a trend down market now. It used to be a multi-distribution. The drop has really shifted the auction dramatically to the downside. Inventory is 100% short, 100% short, and the volume in the S&P is 316,000, which is higher than the 290,000 expected, or what we consider to be normal, which is one standard deviation. 290,000 by the time the market opens. We're at 316, so we're probably going to pack on another 40,000 contracts before the open. The range is 70.5 points in the ES so far. Point of control of 50.24 this morning. Okay, so those are the big pieces. Here's how things are looking right now. we had a pretty I have to say unexpected push up yesterday. I think the S&P. Those of you who are watching the S&P, um, which I'm not trading, are experiencing a lot of difficulty on a on a day trading basis because it's just moving in fits and spurts, and it's not doing a good job telegraphing what it's likely to do. So we could see up here yesterday. We're back to a point and figure 1/8. You could see yesterday the open was just dramatically poor after a very Gaussian, very tight overnight session on very light volume. The open was pretty tight, and then it busted out to the upside and then continued all the way up into this 5066 handle, and then we had a what I call is a spike retest fail setup, which brought us right back below the um, the references, the DGPs, brought us below the VWAP, the mid, and so on. And then from there, it just continued lower. There's some clear selling in yesterday's action. As we came into the close, they sold some more. And then after that, it just kind of traded sideways on the APAC session. APAC, again, a lot of countries in Asia on holiday still. Double distribution profile this morning. You can see there's a lot that happened in the lower distribution, a fair amount that happened in the upper distribution, all of it occurring below settlement. Settlement is above us at 50.41. Very negative skew, and we sold off in the overnight session. So as soon as Europe opened um, and slammed the bid immediately, and then just basically traded in this lower range. So we made this kind of squiggly distribution up top, but a very clean, clear double distribution at the bottom. The number comes out right here, and then we drop. So in this, the number my time 7:30. You can see 7:30. Look at the bar timings in 1 second. You could see how many bars it printed. These are all printed in 1 second. Okay, there's your second, 3, 4 seconds, 5 seconds, and then 8 seconds before it pulled back in, and it put in a lot of price discovery in those 8 to 10 seconds where it took a bounce. Right, very clear collision on the way up, same price where it collided earlier, came back off, and it's been continuing lower. There's just no interest in the buy side. So clearly the market has found a reason to sell off, and we have found our sellers. We've been advertising higher and higher prices, and we've been pushing lower. The expectation here after the number is that it's very likely to check 49.78, 49.80. It did with a collision here. This, to me, started to look like we may be finding some buyers. This bounce, this spike down, retest, and then reverse. And then that failed through. Once it cleared the collision here, this was, again, another sell signal to push into 49.66, which is our balance from way back. Remember this number, these 3 days, 2 Fridays ago, Monday, Tuesday, overlapping, brings us into this 49.67, which is where we are. The low of the session is 67.50. So what this market has done is essentially consolidated in this box here where we have this microcomposite, broke higher, left behind a gap zone, a bit of a double top here at 78. Okay, then it broke higher, consolidated for a day, opened, tested, push up, vertical. Yesterday opened sideways, tested up, came all the way back down, and we had range extension up and down in what almost was a neutral extreme down day yesterday. It balanced out pretty good in the 50-40, or this day here, it balanced out pretty good in the 50-43 range. And then yesterday, it put in a point of control at 50-42. So you could see these overlapping balances after testing higher and selling off yesterday. So to me, this low was relatively vulnerable. What we don't see in yesterday's action is an excess at the high, which is unusual. Like, this is the natural way to find a top, is to push up and then sell off pretty swiftly. And these days tend to have, a series of TPOs at the high. It just shows the prices have moved too far for folks to just want to hang out there. But yesterday, it hung out there. It really did. It just kind of held on to that high, and you could see that it traded volume there as well. It traded pretty good volume there. So to me, this is kind of an anomaly here. This isn't how you would expect a normal, quote unquote, normal auction or swing high to be put in. A lot has traded at the high, but regardless, it came back and it put in this balance right at 50, 42, 43, and we settled at 50, 41. So that was pretty orderly. Again, in my opinion, the trade on this product has been pretty darn awful on a day basis. And then so we get down, we clear the balance here. So we pause slightly right in here. And then once we got through the 49.88, the expectation is likely to see a bounce at 78.80, 78.80, and we did get a bounce there. And now, we bounced a little bit, and now we're falling through, and we're down to the 49.67.66, which is the MC in this area. So this is where we're resting right now. So while the market has sold off a fair amount, what it has done, it's come back to its most recent balance zone, which is right where we are now. So we went from a very clear and distinct rally mode. You could see that we did overlap value here, which creates a balance right here. But from here, there was really no value established. There isn't clean value. There's a point of control. There's balance in there, but the value area is not really genuine. And then it went from that, instead of creating a day where it just kind of balances out and then starts to rotate through, it's doing it all in one shot. That makes the auction suspect, right? This makes the move down very suspicious. And we've seen days where the market shoots down, shoots right back up. In fact, we saw that right here. Open at the top, gap down, open at the top, shoot down, close at the bottom, open near the bottom, shoot up, finish at the top. This is CPI. It's quite significant. But what the Fed's going to do is they're going to come out and they're going to soothe everybody. Here, it's okay. Cry on my shoulder a little bit. It'll be fine. You'll see. Daddy's going to do something about this. You'll see. There'll be a surprise for you. That's what they're basically going to have to do before people start closing their pocketbooks to further investments. So that's this story, and I'm sticking to it. The overnight session, pretty crude, price discovery so far. Here we see a nice big collision. This is a trigger for me right here. A nice collision and a breakout. This is our B-shaped pullback and reverse setup right at the low here. Okay, pretty aggressive selling, and then it just kind of finds its bottom. finds its bottom, a nice little zipper, finds its bottom, breaks the other side, and then squeezes a whole bunch of shorts here. You can see the imbalance, the buy imbalances are relatively strong. What we see here, though, is it's not all that thin, which means that it's actually being resisted on the way up. So the size on the offer is still trading out. The volume per 8 seconds here has climbed really high, even for the time of day. It's been trading in the 5 to 800, which is pretty good. So the expectation for today is that there's probably going to be some aggressive positioning on the open. On the open. So this will be a very interesting open to watch. The NQ, what are my expectations for today? Really, we're gapping to yesterday's auction. So this is the most recent auction, right? This is where the market last expected value. I'm expecting this to probably sell off a little bit before the open, and once we open, I'm expecting it to make a retest of the low, squeeze a little bit, and then find its bearings and start to push back towards the 5012 area. Folks, I need to drop off. This looks like an emergency. My wife doesn't usually call me during my show. I